Morning, y'all. Guess y'all know who it is by now, but friendly neighborhood Rockin' Robin. Today's March 5th, and it's a good one. It's called The Way Home. Enter by the narrow gate. Narrow is the gate which leads to life. It is unimaginable that anyone would want to board an airplane knowing the pilot would be tolerant of anything that could bring disaster to the passengers. Just one single error by a pilot going through a storm, one flash of broad-mindedness could cause the death of hundreds. Once on a flight from Korea to Japan, a plane flew through a rough snowstorm. The visibility was nearly zero as the plane approached the runway. The pilot had to make an instrument landing. A controller in the tower talked to the pilot in safely, and the crew and the passengers were glad the pilot and the controller hadn't been broad-minded. When it comes time for life to end on Earth, each person should want to know that they followed the narrow way, the only way to be welcomed into heaven by following Jesus. Jesus left the glory of heaven, took on himself the form of man, and died a shameful death on a cross to purchase our redemption. With the love that was his, he could not be broad-minded about the world held captive by sin. Jesus said, "He who is not with me is against me," in Matthew 12:30. The broad, wide, easy, popular way leads to death and destruction. Only the way of the cross leads home. When I take a load, I look at several route options. Time, distance, miles on each option. But also, what kind of weather forecast. I got all kinds of apps to help me with all this. Better than what we had back in the day. But it's kind of, the narrow way is like a tightrope walker. You ever seen a tightrope walker? They're not looking at the wire that they're walking on, the rope they're walking on. They're looking at their destination. Their eyes, their focus is completely on that destination. And their feet are feeling the rope or wire below them. If they take their eyes off that destination for even a second, it could be disastrous. When a lot of us try to straddle the fence, you can't be single-minded on Christ and still be broad-minded with the world. We cannot accept the world's views, but we can be respectful and loving to those in the world around us. Hold strong to our faith and keep walking that narrow way to heaven. There's a songs about highways to hell and whatnot, and party songs and glamorizing the life of sin. But there's a lot of songs that glamorize the Christian life and heaven and whatnot. And they come in all forms, all genres of music, but with a Christian lyrics. We cannot change the world, the entire world on our own, but we can help change the world around us. Y'all hear me tell all the time, the cheapest thing to give someone is a smile. What my granny always said. But if we take our eyes off the prize, we can fall into the worldly ways. I did it for many years. And I will tell you, I have a lot more peace walking the narrow way. I have a lot more hope walking the narrow way than I ever did the world's way. When you start walking the world's way, there's so many ways to walk in the world. It gets kind of confusing, and too many choices at times can stress you out. Been there and done that. But narrow's the way that leads to salvation, broad is the gate that leads to destruction, the Bible says. So are you walking the narrow way this morning? Are you trying to change the world around you, those in the world around you? Are you loving someone that their views don't line up with God's view, but you love them anyways, and you still treat them with respect and dignity? Because that's the only way that when they get in trouble and start having issues, they're going to look over at you and say, well, you know, maybe there's something about they always just seem so peaceful and loving all the time. And me, I'm pulling my hair out 24/7. Trying to lead the way live the way I've been living. And that's how we help people get to the narrow way. And the more people you walk on the narrow way with, the more people you have to help keep you steady and focused on that narrow way. The world offers a lot of distractions. I remember a scene from The Chosen. Well, actually several scenes from The Chosen, where the world was trying to get at Jesus. And his disciples got in front and around him to protect him from the crowds, even from stoning. If you're trying to walk the narrow way, who are you, and you're struggling, who are you trying to walk the narrow way with? Because if you're trying to walk the narrow way with other believers that still got 1 foot in the world and 1 foot in heaven's gate, they're not going to be much help to you. I've learned that over the last year. God's removed some people out of my life, and I've had to back out of some relationships with people, kind of remove them out of my life also. Because they weren't doing nothing but making me stumble. And you stumble enough times, you're liable to just fall. So y'all don't fall. Don't fall into the world's wiles, but walk that narrow way, because the reward at the end, no amount of money would be able to afford. Y'all have a blessed day. And just remember, an ounce of Jesus will save any size soul. Peace out.